Now let's talk about actually fixing the property, also known as rehabbing or renovating the property. Now that we've got to this point, I mean, this is a very detailed oriented process, and if you've never flipped a house before, you don't know what you don't know. There are a lot of little things that you need to do in order to get a property up to spec, be able to sell to current market trends. And so let's dive into the renovation. Kind of what's the process from beginning to end?
Yeah, I mean, really simply, day one, usually if you're doing a big renovation, you need to make sure you get permits, right? So you have to have contractors that are licensed and can pull the permits, right? Before you get the permits and get the process started, we typically will order a dumpster to arrive at the property so the trash can be put somewhere, not just piled outside and get us big fines from the inspectors. And also a lot of times if you're doing a big project where the toilets and bathrooms are being ripped out, you need to make sure you order a portable toilet. That's part of the requirement to pass any inspection, right? And it's the right thing to do for your contractors.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to pee on the side of your house.
That's not fun.
No, and I've had that happen, so ask me how I know. So first days, they come in, you're going to walk through, tell them what to demo. If you're going to rip out a lot of old stuff, they'll demo out. Usually takes a couple of days, and you might have to rotate a few dumpsters, right? Then usually your framers will come in, and this will be from the perspective of a big, large renovation, just so we can hit all the steps. Your framers will come in, get the house ready, put in any new rooms, open any walls, clean up any damaged wood. After the framers are finished and have passed their inspection, you'll move on to your mechanicals, which is your electrical, plumbing, and HVAC, right? So once those are done, and they all normally have their own inspection, in some areas they all are inspected at one time. Sometimes they're inspected by different inspectors, so those can take quite a while depending on where you live. Then you'll have to insulate the house. A lot of areas have professional companies that do it relatively easy and quickly, so that's not normally a big deal. Once the house is insulated, that's where you're probably taking about a month to sheetrock it, to paint it, right, to get everything ready. And you want to make sure at this point you have your windows and doors installed so you have heat and air, because normally sheetrock needs heat or air depending on the weather outside to dry or cool or whatever, right? Once the house is sheetrock, normally then you're putting on your trim, which is like your doors, your baseboards, and your crown if it's a little bit more of an expensive home. Then the home gets its paint, right? Once the home is painted, and you want to keep in mind when you're doing a big renovation, you want to go from the outside wall to the inside, right? So that means your framing, then the mechanicals that go inside the walls, then the insulation, then the sheetrock, then the cabinets. So you're working your way in. And same thing from the outside. You want to go from top to bottom, right? The most important thing to do is make sure the house is not leaking and damaging everything in there. So you put on a roof first, and then you work your way down. So that includes siding, windows, and at the end, landscaping and driveway. Now back on the inside, once the house is painted, you can put in your cabinets, your tile, your showers, all that kind of stuff, and bring back your mechanical subs to install your toilets, your sinks, your appliances, right? Normally at the end, we try to do carpet and flooring to make sure it doesn't get scratched or dirty. And then right after that, it's normally time to clean up the house and get it ready for sale. So that is a brief overview of the renovation process.
Kind of said it better myself. Now, you know, when you're starting out and you don't know any of this, some great people to work with are general contractors and or a project manager. I know when I started out, I used general contractors that I found other investors that use these general contractors that liked and trusted them, and that made me feel more confident using a general contractor who isn't just a retail general contractor that's not familiar working with investors. I vetted this contractor and the other contractors to make sure that they had worked with investors. So
that's a good point.
How would you go about finding a general contractor that could help you with this renovation?
Yeah, look, when I got started and I moved to the area, I literally didn't know anyone, so I didn't even know who to ask. Normally, if you know people and you live in an area for a long time, you have friends of friends that had work done. So that's a good place to start. But if I were moving or starting in a new place, I would drive around and look at other projects and literally just stop there and talk to the contractors, you know, give them our 30-second elevator pitch and see if they want to come work with us and if they're looking for more work. Because also while you're there, you can see their quality of work, right? And a lot of times they can refer you other contractors for the different trades you need.
You know, one of my favorite things to do is that, Stan, drive around, find the properties that are being renovated, go to the property, you may see subcontractors or the general contractor, and you can find out who that GC is at the property and see if they're open to doing additional work, and you can also vet their work as well. It's just a fun thing to do. If you like real estate, you're in the business of flipping houses, and you're looking at newly renovated property in your area, it's what you should be doing.
Yeah, and I've met other investors that own those houses before that turned into friends, colleagues. I wholesale them some deals. I partner with them to do some deals. So yeah, you might even meet the owner of the house who's another investor, and that can turn into a big relationship. I've had some of my best relationships just like that. Yeah. Other people doing projects in my area, and I find out, hey, they only have money to do two, but I know this hard money lending, private lending setup where I can fund a lot of deals. So how about I bring you deals and you do the work? Because look, the quality that you're doing here is awesome.
Now, what I do want to share with our community and the audience is a good golden rule of how long the renovation should take. Yeah. That way you know what to expect. One kind of rough rule I've used is that for every $10,000 in renovation, it should take about a week of work. And so, for example, if I have a $30,000 rehab, that's about 3 weeks. I'm gonna say it's gonna take about a month to rehab it. It's a rough rule. Great rule of thumb. But that rule helps me understand this ain't a 6-month renovation. Yeah. This ain't a 3-month renovation. Standard team should be able to get this done in 30 days, which I think is super important. It might be different per market or per GC. It might be $8,000 to $15,000 a week, but I think it's really important just so you have the right expectations and you're not having your projects take 8 months when they should be taking 4 months.
Yeah, and also this helps you estimate on the buying side how many months to put into your rehab deal calculator. Yeah. Which will tell you how much interest you need to reserve in the bank, because you normally have to make monthly payments. So you'll know, in this one, I might have to hold it for 2, 3, 4 months. So I need at least that much in the bank.
Yeah. So when we analyze our deals, we don't only understand the ARV, repairs, all the other costs, or purchase price, or holding costs. We analyze how long we're going to hold that property for. Absolutely. Because every day that goes on during a renovation, you're paying more in utilities, you're paying more insurance, you're paying more in taxes, you're paying more in the actual financing fees. And so every day counts when doing a renovation, and that's why you just want to get it done as fast as possible, but of the quality that is needed as well. You don't want to skimp on quality, because then at the end of the day, that can reduce your buyer pool and just have more negative effects for you.
Yeah, and look, houses sell a lot slower during certain times of the year. So by knowing that, I'll know when the house will generally be ready for sale, right? At the end of the summer, a lot less people are buying because they don't want to move with their kids when school's about to start. Between Thanksgiving and the end of the year, because there's so many holidays, people are going on vacation, sales just stop. Yeah. So I know to motivate my contractors or build in that extra holding cost to be cautious. If I know it's going to finish around the beginning or middle of the holidays, I'm going to add an extra month of holding because I know it's going to cost me extra, and no one's buying around Christmas typically.
Yeah, it's important to note, sometimes the markets are cyclical, or generally they are around winter, holidays, summer, there's less kids in school, more families are willing to move. It's easier for families to move when their kids aren't in school. I mean, could you just imagine like taking your kids out of school, putting them in another school in February?
Right. Spring market is the buying season. That's when the most homes sell. So absolutely, timing is super important. Knowing when the house will be done and how long it's going to take, you can add those extra buffers in to maybe negotiate lower. Because holding costs do affect your profit.
Be on the lookout for the next video in this series. And if you want to build a hyper profitable wholesaling and flipping business, then check out my full in-depth training at realestateskills.com/watch. And I'll put the link in the description. I'll see you there, and happy flipping.